pay attention to the very next sentence that pops into your head, because whether you realize it or not, that sentence is either slowly improving your life or slowly poisoning it. Most people think that to feel better about themselves takes time, years of work, deep healing, fixing everything that's wrong with them first. But here's the thing, there's a way to feel better about yourself right now, not because your life suddenly changes, but because the way you talk to yourself does. And once you see this, you won't be able to unsee it. In this video, I'll show you why the words you say and think to yourself really matter, more than you realize. How a single careless sentence can shape your confidence for years and years. And then we'll go through a short hypnotic exercise to get you speaking to yourself in a powerful new way. Here's a little story I want to tell you. A lady, a kind, intelligent lady, comes home from work exhausted. She's had a long day and all she wants is a little peace and quiet. But her young son is in a great mood, singing joyfully, loudly, totally unfiltered. For just a moment, she loses control. She snaps and she says, "Your voice sounds stupid. Stop singing." She doesn't mean it. She loves her son. And 5 minutes later, she's forgotten she even said it. But the boy doesn't forget. In that moment, he makes an agreement with himself that his voice is annoying, that expressing himself is a problem. He stops singing. Later, he hesitates to speak up. He second guesses himself when he wants to share an idea, not because of talent, not because of ability, but because of one sentence. That's what words do. They don't just describe our reality, they create the agreements that shape reality. And here's the uncomfortable part. Most of the agreements ruining your life weren't made consciously, and a lot of them weren't even made by other people. They're made every time you speak to yourself in a way that you would never speak to someone you love. We've all heard about negative self-talk, but this next part I got from a book called The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz and Janet Mills. They have a nice take on it. They talk about being impeccable with your word. And that's a word I'd like you to consider. Impeccable. It comes from the Latin peccare, which means to sin. So impeccable means without sin. To be impeccable with your word literally means don't use your words to sin. I'm not talking about religion right now. In this context, sin simply means harm. So being impeccable with your word means this: never using your word to harm yourself or anyone else. Most people aren't cruel to themselves on purpose. It's subtle. I'm so stupid. I always mess things up. I look terrible. Typical me. They feel harmless because they're familiar, like almost automatic. But every time you say something like that out loud or in your head, you're making an agreement. And once an agreement is made, you start living it as if it was true. Words shape reality. Words aren't just sounds. They create images, meaning, expectations. They shape how you see yourself, what you think you're capable of, and how you interpret other people's reactions. Your words don't just reflect reality. They literally build it. Your word can do one of two things. It can liberate you or it can enslave you. So here's an important idea for you to consider. And most people don't think of it this way, although they should. You're not trapped by your past, not by your parents or your circumstances. You're trapped by the agreements you keep reinforcing in your own mind. Here's the shift, and this matters. You don't need to jump to some affirmations you don't believe. You don't need to say, "I'm amazing," if your unconscious is calling BS on that idea. You just need to stop attacking yourself. Replace judgment with neutrality. Instead of, "I'm terrible at this," you could say, "I'm learning." Or instead of, "I screwed this up," say, "Well, that didn't go the way I wanted it to." That alone creates space. And space is where change starts. What helps me is imagining that I'm talking to a small child. I would never say some of those horrible things to a little child. So I don't want to say that to the child in myself. And I struggled with this a long time. So I know what I'm talking about. And I still struggle with it sometimes. It takes patience and a little effort, but Boy, is it worth it. Now let's do something to help this message sink in a little light hypnosis, if you will. So get in a comfortable position. I'd like you to take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and as you slowly let it out, allow your eyes to close and your body to relax. Take a second deep breath in, and as you let it out, imagine that your eyes are closing again and your body relaxes even more. That's it. And just let yourself breathe and let it come however it wants to come as you continue to relax. And I'd like you to imagine, in whatever way it comes to you, that there's a line that represents your whole life. Let's call it your timeline. And imagine that you're looking down on that line from above. You can see the line stretching off into the future. And you can turn around and see it stretching back into the past. Just float over that line, back to when you were a small child. You can see yourself down there, playing, learning, doing whatever you used to do. And you can see your parents or whoever took care of you. They're young and a little clueless, tired, with worries of their own. Notice a time when maybe they didn't say the most encouraging things to that little you, or they said or did something that seemed mean. They don't even know how important their words and actions are. So maybe you can forgive them for that. Now float down to that little you and give that child all the encouragement it needs. Tell that little you how wonderful they are, how special. Say the good words that that little you needs to hear. Maybe give that little you a big hug. Now float up above the timeline and follow it forward as that child grows older. Notice a spot here or there where they're really struggling. Go down there and give them some encouragement. Praise their accomplishments. Give them a friendly word about their struggles. Tell them that it's okay and you love them. You can follow that child right up to now, all the way, giving them encouragement, pats on the back, smiles, no mean thoughts or words. See that child in yourself and see how that child responds to you. See how happy they are to know that you approve. And when you're back up to the present day, and you can look down and see yourself sitting there doing this exercise with me, when you're ready, drift down back into your body. And from now on, whenever a negative thought pops into your head, you will remember to immediately counter it with loving encouragement. And laugh about how silly that thought was. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room. Welcome back.